I have a huge soft spot for the PS1 era of gaming because that's basically where I submitted myself to gaming for life, and there was an unspoken bond that I would be gaming for the rest of my life from that era. And I have to say that Lunistice is a game that takes me right the way back to that era, not just in terms of its art style, which is blatantly inspired, and it says so on the tin, by the PS1 and Sega Saturn era of gaming, but it also goes back to that simple and pure 3D speedrunning platforming where gaming could just be running, jumping, and having a fluid and joyful aesthetic about it without too much else going on. In Lunistice, you play as Hannah the Tanuki, and she's going through 7 different dreams that are broken up into 2 different stages each. Those dreams can last anywhere from 3 to 4 minutes, all the way up to 10 minutes and beyond, depending on how completionist you want them to be. Because all you're being judged is from getting from beginning to end in the quickest time possible, collecting as many of the collectible paper cranes as possible, but also not dying. And this is where the key comes in. If you want those S ranks, Lunistice will make you work for it. However, with all of that sweet replayability comes a game that is designed for it, and it's designed to give you giant grins on your face, because all of the platforming in here is how I would imagine a modern day Sonic game to really look and feel wearing 1997's clothes. Because it's fast, it's fluid. The level designs are designed so that you can run and barrel roll your way through everything. Enemies are just a spin like Crash Bandicoot to like push out of the way and offer no real big barrier to entry, but require good timing and a almost like high-speed ballet to just rip them out of the way as you charge onwards in your can I make this look graceful and fun and skillful as I barrel my way through each of these 14 levels. The beauty is that Hannah, as the character, plays in a way that feels floaty but responsive at the same time. And I appreciate that's an oxymoron, but when you're kind of moving from one area to another, she's grounded and she moves around with quite decent enough precision. Where it becomes floaty is because quite a lot of the time you're flying through the air and doing all kinds of different things, and you have the ability to have quite a lot of good aftertouch with where you're going, and that can course correct an awful lot of sins. You also have a single jump, a double jump, but then a triple jump by being able to do a double jump and then an attack at the end. And this again plays into that floatiness because levels are designed to test you with single, double and triple jumps. And you need to understand and know when to use each, because otherwise you'll overshoot increasingly narrow platforms as things go along. You can go at full pelt throughout the entire game, but there is a slower running button that you can hold down. And this is great for some of the narrow balance beam precision things that go on, particularly when it's around involving Hannah challenges. And what these are 4 cartridges, again we're going back to the 90s, with the letters HANA on for you to collect. And these are always off the beaten path with some kind of higher level challenge or alternative paths to get through the level on. And these quite often involve a lot of like narrow balance beams or huge timing things to kind of get right. I love the way how the camera can be swung around and that you can aim that camera wherever it is that you want, but it generally seems to find vaguely the right way to put itself as you go through the level. But it does require that kind of manual intervention if you want to line up the next jump and not have to think too much about it. But if you grew up in the 90s, you're used to this, and it does what you expect from the 90s, but with modern day sensibilities and quality of life features. And this is why I kind of feel like Lunistice is the best of both worlds, because it gives me everything I want from 1997, but from a rose-tinted glasses perspective with 2022's quality of life extras that come with it. For instance, you can see all the gameplay footage here on the HD mode, but you can go back to like CRT lines and a more fuzzier pixelated version of the graphics should you want to. But I was quite happy playing it in the HD one because I wanted to get like the rose-tinted 1997 graphical feel. Alongside this, each world brings along different mechanics. So you start off very simply with running and jumping and just getting used to that, with some enemies to kind of bash off as you go. Then there are balance beams and slow areas introduced, but then you get bounce pads. You also get these slides that you'll need to kind of dive around and jump between, that work very similar to how Sonic grinds on rails. You'll also find that there are tree trunks that need to be hit, that kind of unfurl out in front of you, that you'll be diving off of in between, very much like the Sonic Rails 2. But you'll also have the entirely rhythmic musical world, where everything moves to a quarter beat. So once every 4 beats something is changing, and so you'll need to react and do all of your timing to the environment as it moves around you. They all offer different challenges. Again, getting to the end is not always like the be-all and end-all of the game. It's about, do you want to go for those S ranks? And it's great that you're able to tackle this game at 2 very distinct difficulty levels. Just surviving, or going for that Speedrunner S rank, which will take you hours and hours of memorization, but also good skill on platforming to get there. Otherwise, checkpoints are quite liberally spread out throughout the levels, and so when you do die, and you will die often, it will only spawn you back just a couple of objects backwards, so that you can then take another go at the challenge. I adore this. I had a blast playing it. It was a game that I picked up on a whim for spotting it in one of those Steam kind of events that was going on. And the fact that I picked this up on its 15% discount for £4.24, it's easily one of the best under £5 games that I've picked up in 2022, but also probably for the last 5 years or so. I really recommend this game that much. Also, big shout out to the soundtrack, because it is 90s nostalgia, electronica is probably the best way to describe it. So it's chunky drum machines, cheesy synths, but done in a way that will pump you up for that speed running, fluid platforming that you would want to know and love from a game like Lunistice. 2 thumbs up from me. Written review on Higher Playing Games. Any comments or questions, leave them down below. Don't sleep on this one. This is going to be one of my sleeper hit bests of 2022. Higher Playing Games is part of the Higher Playing Network, a completely independent media outlet supported by people like you. The goal is to create the best possible content that cultivates a richer indie scene for games as well as music and entertainment. To find out more and to get involved, visit patreon.com/higherplanetwork. Your support makes all the difference, and in return you'll gain access to bonus content and downloads. Thank you for watching.